All right, what's going on, boys? We're back. Keg Coop live, breaking down NASCAR Cup Series this weekend. Watkins Glen, another road course. We've had, I think, 4 so far this year.
Yeah.
At last week, Coop got the chicken with 20-1 on Harvick. I was a bitch. Took 72 hours off. I got a worse number. Cost myself thousands. But we're here. We're here. Coop formally apologized to Happy. Another week. Happy Harvick just doing the damn thing, huh? Feels like 2016 all over again, Coop. What's going on, my friend?
I don't know, man. You're just tickled, man. That he can't go back in the graveyard.
He's back.
So, sorry, Marty's already took his place, man.
NASCAR's always better when Happy Harvick is closing. It's always better.
Yeah, it is.
All right, Coop. Now, another road course. Tyler Reddick absolutely dominated road courses this year, right? 2, 2, 1, and 18. I don't know why. Do you know why he finished 18 in that one race? Did he fuck his car up?
He got a speeding penalty.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, he's been the class of the field this year on road courses. Hasn't been Elliott. Hasn't been Larson, hasn't been Marty or Kyle. It's pretty much been him. Although Chase Elliott does have a win on a road course this year, but it's been a very quiet year for him compared to how he was just dominating for a few years there. Overall thoughts on Watkins Glen, how it differs from the road courses that we've already seen this year.
Speed, more speed. Requires a lot of speed, so it's not really technical. It's all about speed.
Yeah. So to show people what this track looks like. So this is the track, right? And if you take a look at the road courses that we've already been to this year, this one there are a lot less dramatic turns, and feel like, I mean, they're not straightaways, but they feel like at least that these cars will be going probably the fastest that they've gone all year, right, on a road course here.
Probably the fastest, average-wise, definitely. There might have been some other road courses where they get a long straightaway that they're going to go as fast. I don't know. All depends upon if they're coming up the hill, going down the hills, things like that too. But if you just watch the highlights of this race, man, you can immediately tell, it's a much faster race than, the other 4 that we have seen this year.
Right. So, which inevitably begs the question. Toyota has not been a factor on any road track this year. They've been flat out bad. Even Chris Bell, who has had one of the 3 fastest cars on the track, I would say, all year long, right? Even he has struggled. As good as Kyle Busch and Marty have been, they have struggled. They just can't. The handling just isn't there. So, do you think, because speed will matter more here, that Toyota will be more of a factor than they've been on road courses this year?
It's the $1 million question everybody wants to know, man.
That's the question, right?
If we could predict that prior to the race, man, one, we would either be getting what we feel are very good odds on some of the Toyota drivers if they do end up having speed, or 2, if they don't, we would feel much more comfortable taking the lower numbers on some of the drivers that are out there. So,
What does your gut say?
I'm split 50-50. I did do
Oh, come on. Your gut can't be split 50-50. It's your gut.
It is, man. It is. So I did some looking today, and I looked at like 2019 and 2021, and I looked at the top 10 cars in speed at Watkins Glen.
Yeah.
And I wasn't necessarily looking at the driver. I was just looking at, did these drivers have top 10 speed at the other road courses, that year too? And the majority of them did. Obviously, it's not going to be a cold blanket where every time, the same 10 drivers have the best speed.
You're saying that the majority of the drivers that ran well and showed speed, more than likely they were good at Watkins Glen and they showed equally good speed.
Yeah, at the other tracks.
Okay. All right. So basically,
I mean, again, like in every race, there was probably like, 2 or 3, maybe up to 4 that, weren't in, one of the other races. So, I mean, that's why I said it leaves room for Toyota. I'm not going to bet any Toyota prior to the race. And, like, I just don't feel comfortable doing it. One bit.
My gut says, because you and I were talking about this a little bit earlier in the week, my gut says that whatever time they pick up from speed, they probably lose just as much with the handling of the car when you think of how far off the mark the handling has been this year,
Yeah, the handling, the braking, getting the returns and, things of that nature. They've been not good this year on the road.
So me and you and the rest of the world put Tyler Reddick for this season in his own category when it comes to road courses. But
I don't know about the rest of the world, Jay. Like the synopsis that I got this week, man, is like there's not as many people that are high on Tyler Reddick.
Really?
I don't know if it's because like a lot of these people are betting people and they don't want to play they just don't want to play the 6-1 when they had 13s and 25s, at the prior race and things like that. But the sentiment on Tyler Reddick heading into this race is much less than, let's say, the other prior 2 races. And I'm sure some of that has to do with, the odds that they had, on Reddick. But yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, I look at it, these road course drivers, they get hot. Look at Chase Elliott. Like, he won 4 races in a row. Like I said, not earlier, but on another show, like Truex did most of his damage in 2 or 3 years. Same with Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, all of them. Like, they're good all the time on them. But when you look at like their peak, their wins, and their seconds and really competing for the win, it come like in a very short time frame. And, we have more road courses now than what we had when Truex and Busch and Gordon and all them were in their prime. So, I don't know. I just think it's going to be tough to beat Tyler Reddick. I think Tyler Reddick, biggest competitor is himself this weekend.
See, so here's where I'm at is, yeah, that's true. You were able to get him at ridiculous prices at a certain point this year, but me and you just know, first of all, when 6.5 to 1 is a gift, because when we saw Chase Elliott basically having a very similar year to the kind of year that Reddick had this year on road courses, he finished second twice and he won, And his car has gotten better, Reddick's, every road course, to the point where at Indy, he put the whole field to bed, right? Now, in years where Elliott has done a similar thing, he was plus 160 to win the race in 2019. That was the line it closed at. So, I mean, I think when you consider how good he's looked, 6.5 to 1 is a gift on Tyler Reddick. But all right, so let's put him aside, right? When I think of the next three cars that I worry about, I think it's Chastain, Elliott, and Austin Cindric. Is that where you're at?
No.
Where are you at?
I think there's two next ones, in my opinion, and that's Chastain and Suarez.
So you think that Trackhouse speed comes back?
I mean, yeah. I mean, like, it really hasn't disappeared.
I don't disagree. I mean, they've each won on a road course this year. Chastain won at Coda, Suarez won at Sonoma, and they've basically been in the top five. They finished at least around the top five, but that, I mean, they weren't even in the same stratosphere as Tyler Reddick last race.
Yeah, I mean, I can't get that picture out of my mind when the Indy road course, the last two laps, when, you know, Reddick was chasing down Chastain, and then he passed him, and Chastain
when he shot the turn
past him. Yeah. I mean, those two cars were off the rail, like, with speed, you know, for those laps. So, and then, you know, as the week's gone on, I've liked Suarez more and more because he's run well here in good equipment in his prior life. So, you know, I think the one piece that concerns me with Reddick, and I mean, you could have said this, I could say the same thing at Road America, is he's only raced here one time, you know, in the Cup Series. So, you know, I mean, I guess if that's the one thing that you're being able to throw out as a negative, that's a pretty darn good thing.
So you think, all right, well, I mean, well, then that begs the question, what do you think about this F1 ringer that's going to be in a Trackhouse car?
I mean, I think, you know, he's just there. I mean,
just there.
He's not going to compete for the win unless there's, like, you know, a lot of rain or some crazy, stupid shit and stuff like that, man. You know.
So what do you expect from Hendrick?
I expect good cars. I expect them to be competitive, but I think they're a notch below, you know, Trackhouse and Reddick. And, you know, Chase even said that earlier this year. You know, the car's not set up as well as what it was in the old car. They haven't quite figured out what Reddick and Trackhouse has, you know, figured out so far. So, you know, I mean, I see it perfect. Like, you know, Kyle Larson, he'll qualify third. He'll stay up there. And then, you know, he'll fall to 6th, 7th as the race goes on. And then Chase Elliott probably qualify 8th or 9th. And he'll just get better as the race goes. And, you know, I see him finishing in the top 5. But I don't think they have the speed to compete with Reddick and Trackhouse.
All right, so you brought up the weather to me earlier in the week. So I'm looking right now, and Sunday at basically 3:00, it says sunny, 51% chance of humidification or precipitation, but then at 6:00 there are rain clouds and thunderstorms. So as of right now, you think that the weather is still going to be a factor?
I mean, based upon what I'm seeing and hearing, and I mean, all this could obviously change, is I think we'll get the race started under good conditions. But I mean, it's like a pop-up shower. I mean, I forget whatever track it was a couple of weeks ago. Like one just randomly come up and delayed the race for a little while, and everything was fine after that. So I think that's what we're dealing with. We're not dealing with like long steady rain, type of race. So my thing is I want to make sure that if there is rain on the horizon and stuff like that, I get the leader, because if they do go in and caution and stop it, and then they change the rain tires, like I think there's also a good chance, because remember they go back to these single line starts now in the rain, and I mean that's huge for the leader,
Yeah.
huge. So I
Yeah.
want to try to have that leader, and it's easier said than done.
So,
But under clear conditions, like I don't know. I mean, I think we got to see some crazy shenanigans, for Reddick or Trackhouse not to be really this class
so,
of the field.
so I bet Tyler Reddick. Did you bet him yet, or do you plan on betting him pre-race?
I haven't made a single bet yet, so probably we'll do some tomorrow morning prior to the practice and qualifying. So just to make sure that that's what the weather pattern stays the same. Because I
Yes.
mean, I just don't want to be, throwing money around, and then one, we get a shortened race, and it all depended upon when they pitted, and this and that. And then two, you got all the shenanigans that could happen during the rain, and then three, like I said, if they do go to rain, there's a good chance they'll go to single file restarts, which is not good for the rest of the field.
So after Reddick and then Trackhouse, like what do you expect from Ford? Like Hendrick, like
I mean, Hendrick's had a good car all year. I do think Hendrick is in a good position to race for the win if he wants to. And then same with Blaney. Blaney's been very good on these road courses too this year. So I think they're the two best Fords by far, um, even better than Busher. So we'll see how it goes, but I would not be surprised if one of them snuck up there and somehow won this race. I think the whole thing for Blaney, we'll get a pretty good idea early in the race what he's going to be doing. I think if he qualifies in the top, three, maybe four, he's going to try to, win. But the farther back he goes, I think he's going to start racing for stage points to try to, get more of a cushion on top of Marty, and pray to God that, there's not 16 winners at Daytona.
what do you think about Dinger this week?
I'm not high on Dinger, man. I've read some stuff where they've changed this tire around a little bit, and it's more it's not as soft as what it was, and he might not be really happy with it. So he's just been lacking speed too, and I think he needs like a finesse type of course to really show his skill. Obviously, if it rains, I would be more interested in Dinger, because I think he would be still willing to take chances and be aggressive in situations, which would lead to being able to pass more cars, possibly. Where some of the drivers, are going to be more cautious or not feel as comfortable making aggressive moves. So, but on a clean racetrack, I think he's good for a top 10, but I don't see him competing for the win.
Yeah, I think everything you said makes sense. So in the outright,
the one that nobody's talking about, I think you got to keep an eye on, and
I know who you're going to say.
Briscoe.
Yep.
So like he seems to be the forgotten one of the really good road course drivers out there, and he can wing it too, and we'll just have to keep an eye on him.
Yeah. So I mean, in the outright market, I did bet Chase Elliott and Tyler Reddick, but I don't think that I would get on anybody else pre-race. I don't know. Maybe like if you get on Chastain, maybe I'll tail. But I
mean,
just
like if you look at it, like the qualifying groups. Have you looked at the qualifying groups this week?
Yeah, I did.
Like Group A is just so stacked, and it's tough. Those top 5 drivers that come out of there, possibly minus Hendrick, will be the top 5 drivers, to start the race. And the thing with Suarez and Hendrick, Suarez and Chastain is like if they qualify in the top 5, the numbers are going to go from probably 10 to 750 to 8, and then 12 to 950.
I agree. Who won the polls at the road courses this year?
Larson won 1. I think Reddick won 1, Elliott won 1, and Suarez.
And they're all in Group A, aren't they?
Yes. That group's stacked, man.
Yeah. Elliott, Logano, Blaney, Larson, Chastain, Buescher, Bowman, Bubba, Dillon, Briscoe, Reddick. Yeah, it is.
That's like you're gonna know once qualifying starts what kind of car Buescher has, and if he can get into the top 5 somehow, that's really good. Says a lot for him. But I wouldn't be surprised one bit if he ends up being the number 8 qualifier from that group. It's so stacked.
Did you bet anybody to win the poll?
I had not. If I bet anybody, it's going to be the 3 guys I was talking about.
Reddick's 5-1. Chastain and Suarez are 10-1.
It's just so that group is just so tight, man. Like you have one little give up in your lap, and somebody's going to pounce all over you.
Oh yeah.
Whereas in the other group, if you have a little giddy up, you might be able to make it through.
Right.
Just depends upon how bad that mistake is.
I mean, looking at the weekly specials, they have Chevy finishes 1-2 at plus 180. Jesus Christ.
I mean, if you look at the races this year, obviously Chevy's dominated every road course race except for one when Ford was really good. I think they finished 2 through 5. But other than that, it's been Chevy. I can see that number. I mean, I can see that bet winning. I just don't know if it's worth the number because, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if like a Blaney or a Cinder Briscoe, possibly Buescher, would ruin it.
Yeah.
Well, I think 1, 2, 3 is 330, and I think that's happened too. Like I could see that happening, but that's a big number. I mean, not a big number for something like that.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Driver that wins the pole wins the race was 10-1 earlier in the week. Now it's like 7-1.
Yeah, we should have got on that at 10. because I think this is just like Richmond last week, where look, we ended up having Kyle Larson at 7-1. He was in the top, 3 or 4 for the majority of the race, and then fell back, in the the third stage, excuse me. So, but again, like I just mentioned, the 4 drivers that have won the pole: Suarez, Elliott, Larson, and
Reddick.
Like, I wouldn't mind having another 7 points on him.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when you go to like the 1.5 miles and the super speedways, you can't bet because it's just too much variance in those races. So I do like that. I just wish I would have got on it 10-1, but I don't mind the 7.
Yeah. So we talked about the outright market. Was there any top 10s that you saw that you liked this week?
No. But I know you're a parlay buff, and you can parlay the top 10s now on FanDuel and top 3s. But like, I think a lot of people are going to try to parlay 3 or 4 or 5 drivers to finish in the top 10. Like, I don't think that's the way to go with the bet. I think the better way to go is, bet it with something outside of NASCAR.
Tyler Reddick is minus 400 to finish in the top 10.
Yeah, but I mean, I think, what's Suarez? Like, his number is probably 200.
Suarez minus 250.
That's still a little high, but what do you expect from them? I still can't forget like last year, man. Pounding fucking Willie B. Those were the days.
Dinger and Hendrick top 5 at 6.5-1.
No.
Any Hendrick? No. Any Joe Gibbs car to win the race? No.
The only one out of those that I had more interest in, I think it was, it was
Elliott and Larson top 5.
No, Reddick and Chas. Hold on. What do I have it written down here?
Chastain.
Yeah, Reddick and Chastain.
Yeah, it's plus 350.
Yeah, the number's not great, but I think there's a good chance that it happens. What do you think?
I think it could definitely happen. I think that it's likelier to happen than not happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if 3.5-1's kind of low with the volatility in a normal race.
Yeah, I totally agree.
All right.
I mean, there's not a lot of there shouldn't be a lot of volatility in here from a wreck standpoint and stuff like that. It could be from pit stops and things of that nature, but
so like Ross Chastain and Tyler Reddick are 3.5 and 6-1 to be the top Chevy. I don't know how Chase Elliott could be well, I shouldn't say that. He has been the best car on the track the last 3 months. I mean, are you going to bet that? How do you not bet that?
Yeah, I have that written down, but I have Suarez in there too. Like, that's my piece. Like, like if I play 2 of them, I feel somewhat confident with it, but then Suarez is the one that concerns me. So it's almost like what we were doing with the top Chevy last week, where we bet 3 and really hope it's not Reddick, but it's Chastain or Suarez. But then again, I don't know.
But the one thing that worries me is like it wouldn't shock me or you at all to see like Elliott fucking fuck us and us lose 3 bets.
Yeah, or even Larson.
Or even Larson, right? What do you think about Willie B this week?
I don't know, man. I mean, he hasn't been really fast, so that's a concern. Like, if you really want to talk about lack of speed, like you could group him with the Toyotas, you know. But I mean, I think he can fight for maybe an 8th to 13th, 14th place finish if all things go well.
So top Ford, Hendrick is 3-1, Blaney is 3.5-1, and then Briscoe 4.5-1, and Busher and Harvick are 8-1. You think he just take the 2 Penske Fords? I would be a little worried about Busher and Briscoe, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, definitely. Same thing with the top Chevy, where you could end up losing, 2 bets pretty easily.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, like that's why it's so tough this week, and I'm not, really on board. And then like to jump on board after qualifying, like if Hendrick or Blaney go out there and they qualify 2nd or 3rd, and the other ones qualify like 8th, 9th, or 12th and 13th, something like that. That number is going to go down to like 180.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I think you're taking a lot of gambles this week with a lot of cars that are somewhat competitive with each other.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Do you have any opinion on who you expect the best Toyota to be?
I mean, if I was going to bet one, it would be I would take the Bell.
Yeah, he's 2.5-1.
I mean, Denny doesn't even look like he knows what to do on a road course this year. Kyle Busch has just been so slow. Marty's been solid, but he still hasn't shown a lot of speed. And I can't bet Ty Gibbs. And, I'm not going back to the well on Bubba at 15-1. Hell no.
Back to the well. Driver props. Did you see any matchups you liked?
I think there's one that intrigues me and then 2 possible. I guess the one that intrigues me, again, is one that could easily be lost, and that's taking Reddick at plus 100 against Elliott.
Yeah.
But like Busher and McDowell, no. Blaney and Harvick, no. Hamlin and Kyle Busch, no. Blaney and Suarez, no. I think it's too close. Gilliland and Burton, hell no. I mean, I kind of like Hendrick over Larson, but not enough to bet it. Briscoe against Bell, I think that could be pretty close. Harvick against AJ is interesting, but not going to go there. And again, Chastain, I don't mind over Larson, but like I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on the head-to-heads?
I agree with what you said, but I don't think any of them are worth betting. This is a shitty week.
It is.
Looking at the groups. Yeah, I got it.
It's a week where you could potentially think you have the right play, but you could end up losing, a good deal of money. And the thing is, like, you're not going to take, like an Eric Jones or a Willie B or a Bowman or, somebody like that and feel comfortable. and the ones that you are forced to go against, like your driver could finish third, but he could be beat by the driver who finishes second.
Yeah.
Because they're all, fairly, fairly equal.
The groups are the same way. Like Reddick is plus 240 in the group with Elliott, Larson, and Hendrick. I think he should be the best, but like any one of those guys, it wouldn't shock me if they beat him.
Yeah, I was thinking about that bet earlier in the week, but I was like, if I'm gonna pull that bet, I'm just gonna pull it in the top Chevy because that's basically what it is, and you're getting a better number in the top Chevy.
Yep.
Hendrick's in there, obviously a Ford, but and then I don't mind. I said Reddick, Chastain, and Suarez, I think have the best speed, but would I be surprised? If there's another one or two cars, like let's say Hendrick or Blaney, that show up and do really, really well. No, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, me either. Which kind of
I don't have enough confidence in AJ Allmendinger to take him. And then you just never know with the Toyotas. And then like Busher at plus 350, that's a pretty good number, man. And if the Toyotas, stink, that could be a good number.
Yeah, that I think is let's be honest, you and I are not going to have a ton of Chris Buescher action this week, but that is not a bet that I wouldn't mind. I mean, if you go based off what we have seen so far this year, he should finish the best in that group.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It should, but then again, all right. Let's say he goes out and he's in that tough group, and he ends up qualifying and starting 14th. Well, Bell and Truex are in the weaker group, and let's even say they don't have great cars, but they got a little bit better than what they've had. They're going to be starting in front of them, and can he, pass them, or does he get caught up in somebody else's shit? Because the thing is with Buescher and McDowell this year in these road courses, they've started up at the front and done well and just hung on to their track position because they've had pretty good fast cars. Look at what happened to Kyle Busch a couple weeks ago. You get put in the back, man. You never know what's going to happen.
True.
And in the last group, you got Busch, Hamlin, Logano, and Harvick. That's a toss-up.
Yeah, this is not an exciting week to bet on NASCAR. That's for sure. The last few weeks have been really good, but it's going to come down to a few cars. And should Reddick be the best? Yeah, he should, but there are 4 or 5 cars that could probably win this race, definitely, maybe more, if he doesn't have the whip that he rolled into Indy with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or Road America.
What?
He's had the whip in 4 races.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I bet him. I agree with you totally.
But if you go back and you look at these groups, do you see the numbers changing in a way that you could bet them after qualifying?
Well, looking at these groups, right? That Chris Buescher number is going to move drastically because he's probably going to flash the fastest speed of the crew.
Yeah, AJ hasn't been a very good qualifier this year on road courses.
Yeah, I think that Buescher number is gone. I don't think that Group D will move much because they probably don't know what to do with Gibbs. Right. So, yeah, I think in Group A, your favorite in that group after qualifying, it like if
Whoever,
one of those guys has the pole, you would think they're the favorite, right, in that group?
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that these numbers are going to change. I think I think that Chastain and Suarez are that 10 and 12 to 1 is probably a memory. Like, I think you have to decide to bet it before they practice and qualify, or unless you think that Chastain and his struggling when qualifying continues, although it didn't last week.
Right. But I mean, a little bit of last week, he made the top 10, but last week you got to kind of throw out of the equation because the weather was so impactful on, uh, you know, when you were on the track, if you were on the track at the right time versus the wrong time.
Yeah. That's
I
true.
mean, like it's just getting bad. Like, you know, I know you don't deal with MGM a lot, man, but like MGM doesn't even have top manufacturer this week.
Really?
No. Caesars doesn't have top manufacturers. And I mean, Caesars and MGM they're kind of like, you know, follow off of each other and, you know, like they price it to where they don't want your money, you know, unless you're a loyal bettor to them because in the majority of the bets you can shop around and find a much better number.
Yeah.
But, you know, like even a Barstool, like the Barstools weren't that great either, you know, this week. And like DK, I don't know. DK was like that, and you know, FanDuel's is a little bit tighter than DK, but FanDuel's not as tight as you know the books I had just mentioned. But like DK's where it's at this week. They're saying, "I want your money." They have the most bets available out there.
Yeah, I don't understand why a book like FanDuel doesn't have as comprehensive a list of props like DK does.
They did add a couple props this week. Did you see that?
Yeah, but I mean,
they're shitty.
Yeah.
Like, hold on. Driver to win 2 stages or 2+ stages, and yes is 125, no is 125. Like, come on. Like, we're gonna give you this prop, but like we're gonna make the numbers the same.
Starting position of the race winner 1 to 10 minus 280.
I saw I think it was Caesars had that bet. Car number 8.5 under was like plus 120 maybe. Gives you Reddick and Chastain, Larson. Gives you good drivers. Even Keselowski's been solid on road tracks. Harvick. But
yeah, so long story short, we like Reddick. I probably like Elliott a little more than Coop does. And he likes Trackhouse, which makes sense. They have 2 wins on a road course this year. But I mean, aside from that, we went through all the props. There weren't a ton of angles that we really liked, other than backing our 3 or 4 guys that we think are going to be up there and competing for the win in a couple different ways. But let me ask you about.
Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you about tomorrow. We got like 5 Cup drivers in the race, I think, tomorrow with Gibbs for this Xfinity course.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? What do you think about the race tomorrow?
Just one driver and only one driver. In my mind.
There's one driver and only one driver. You're gonna say AJ Allmendinger. You're going to say Ty Gibbs. I'm going to get it eventually. You're going to say Ross Chastain. You're going to say Kyle Larson.
Yep.
Are you betting him at fucking plus 270?
I mean, I might make that bet and then just be done with it. I don't know. But
Why? I want to hear
because
why him this week?
because all year AJ Allmendinger has talked about how slow his car is and he needs more speed. And again, this is a speed track. So that's my reasoning on him. Ty Gibbs, that 54 car, you said it all year. It's just a tad off. Yeah, he outdueled Larson, all right, at Road America. But, Larson led the majority of that race.
Yeah, he shouldn't have gave up that lead. I don't know how that fucking happened because
Yeah.
it happened clean too. But I don't know how he had the best car in 95% of that race.
And then, the 7 for Cole Custer, like everybody was on him last time, and it just didn't happen. And then Byron, I think, honestly, out of all of them, and I haven't talked about Chastain yet, I think he's might have the worst equipment of those cars.
Who?
Chastain.
Oh.
Of the front runners.
What about
he
Willie?
has the worst equipment. I
Willie?
wouldn't be surprised if Willie finishes second.
So Superbook sign said you can get Larson at plus 3.25.
All right, I'll take that all day.
Was that the only road course that Larson drove on? Was that last race?
Yeah. Yep. I mean, Kyle Larson in the older cars, and you can include that in the Xfinity, he feels much more comfortable in them. He's still adapting to this, new car in the Cup Series. And, it's not been able to fit his driving style as good as what the prior car has. And I don't know. I just think Larson runs away tomorrow.
So are we betting Kyle Larson minus 110 heads up against Dinger?
Yeah, I don't mind that bet at all. It's a minus bet, but I don't mind it at all. The biggest issue for me with Kyle Larson tomorrow is his pit crew. You know who I like as a sleeper tomorrow?
Oh, of course I do. Yeah, I'm almost positive I do. Noah Gragson.
Yeah,
that's a 30-second timeout. I mean, if at this point, there's an unhealthy love affair with Noah Gragson. At this point, we need an intervention for our friend. This fucking guy.
I mean, look, the guy has speed, man. And what do we want tomorrow? Speed.
So why is that the only the junior car you like then? They've been the nuts all year.
I think he's a better road course driver than the other junior cars that are in Xfinity. I think he also, might want to be redeeming himself for what he did at Road America.
He's 20-1, huh?
Yeah.
You think he could hit the top 5 at 2-1, Coop?
I was looking at it and I was thinking about that. He's had one top 5 this year, but what concerns me is the amount of Cup drivers that are floating around in that race.
you know,
The guy gives me a timeout, and then he turns around and is like, "What about 2-1 on Gregson, man, for a top 5?"
you know,
And now he's becoming more intrigued because he saw that plus 2,000.
no, wait a minute. Settle down. Settle down for a minute. All right. Kyle Larson to win tomorrow and Tyler Reddick to win on Sunday is 28-1, Coop. Well, I mean, what are we even talking about? 28-1? That's getting fucking bet right now. I'm betting that right now. Nothing greedy, $100, little taste.
I thought you were gonna tell me, like, Kyle Larson to win tomorrow, and Joe Hang XYZ, MMA wrestler to knock somebody out.
Yeah, listen. For anybody watching, whatever you're betting on Sunday in NASCAR, Paulo Costa by KO, you're tying it right to everything for all the money. All right, so Coop likes Kyle Larson tomorrow. I don't really have.
Who do you like?
I didn't really look at. I didn't look at the race really until like right now. That's why I wanted to ask you. I mean, listen. I don't know how Gibbs got by him during that one road race, but Larson had the nuts for 95%. So I get it.
All right. But I mean, if you look at the other road course races for Ty Gibbs this year, like, he hasn't been what he was the year before. The car, like you have said, is just a little bit off this year compared to how it's been in prior years. That meaning the 54 car.
So did anybody drive that car that wasn't Kyle Larson in the other road races?
Actually, Byron's driving the 17, which is what Larson was in at Road America.
Okay.
And Larson's driving the 88 tomorrow, which is what I can't think of a guy named Pablo Suarez or something like that. I totally butchered his name, but has driven in the other road course races. He's in a JRM car, and Byron's in a Hendrick car. Or you could just basically all say they're Hendrick cars.
Right. All right, boys. I guess we'll call it.
You have any interest in the poll bet 7-1
for Cup
Sunday? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I like taking Reddick, and I don't mind taking a shot with the Trackhouse Chevys that you like.
No, but the poll winner to win 7-1.
Oh, I mean, the only thing that sucks is we could have got it at 10-1 on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that blows. I saw it too, and I did. Somebody brought that up to me. And I should have mentioned it to you. I mean, listen.
I just didn't bet it.
I mean, like if Tyler Reddick gets the poll, you're going to be like really happy that you got him at 7-1 and 6-1 for sure.
But if Kyle Larson wins it, are you going to be as happy?
Yeah, probably not, considering he's 9. What are his odds? 9-1. Yeah, you won't. Yeah, I mean, it puts you in a position where it has to be Reddick or Elliott, or we're going to lose value.
Not necessarily. I mean, I could, if Chastain goes out there, I could see his number being 7-1. Couldn't you?
Yeah, I could. Yeah.
I mean, I think the driver who wins the poll, whether it be Suarez or whomever it is, the number is going to get cut drastically.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
And I think you're just adding some value to it. If it's Reddick, what do you think it is? If it's Reddick or Larson?
Oh my God, it's going to be like, I think if it's Reddick, he'll be like plus 450. And I think if it's Elliott, he'll be like 4-1 probably. If it's Elliott.
Yeah.
And like 20 laps into the race, one of them would be 2-1 probably.
So what's the parlay number on your MMA guy you're so happy on? With Larson and Riddick.
With Larson to win Saturday. Oh, Larson, right. Saturday and Reddick, that would be. They pulled the odds down right now. I can't even tell you. They pulled the odds down on the Costa fight. But I could ballpark you. If it's 27-1 now, it would be probably.
Well, what was your other dude, Costa or whatever his name is?
Paulo Costa by KO.
But what was the number?
It was minus 140 when I bet it, but now it's like minus 160. So
find something else that's minus 160.
Yeah, it would be 45.5-1 about.
Yeah. That's pretty risky, man. For a guy that's to knock somebody out at minus 140.
Yeah, Coop. You don't realize that who he's fighting though, bro.
No, I know.
Like a cold shower knocks the guy out.
Then why is it not minus 300?
Because just the same reason that there are mispricings in NASCAR, there are mispricings in the UFC. That number, I'll tell you right now, it realistically should be whatever his money line is, which is like minus 340. That's probably what it realistically should be. But they just don't price MMA props like that. All right, boys. I guess that's it. I guess we'll call it a night. Tomorrow morning, I'll be live on Run Pure Sports at 11 o'clock, breaking it down with title UFC 278 with title and draft sheet. And then we'll be live from 3 o'clock until 1 o'clock in the morning for Keg subs. And then Sunday morning, Coop and I will be back on the Run Pure YouTube at 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. And then we'll be live on the live betting show at 3. So you'll see a lot of my fat, ugly face this weekend. Aside from that, though, no matter what you bet this weekend, I hope your action runs pure. I hope you crush responsibly. We'll see you tomorrow. Later.